So as we talk about goal setting, business planning, what's the difference between realistic and unrealistic goals? How do you know how do you know the difference? Like where do you draw the line? Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting edition of Lending Leadership with the Mortgage Pros. This is Robert Filyaw with HMA Mortgage, and as always, joined by Tom Mills and Dave Holland. Welcome back. We're excited to chat today, boys. What are we talking about today? What's on the agenda?
Business planning, the dreaded business planning.
Dreaded. I love business planning. It's one of my favorite things.
I love business planning too, but a lot of LOs don't. You know, we were chatting before this, like LOs are basically, well, not basically, they're self-employed, right? They're a small business owner. If you don't have a
business
plan,
inside of a business.
Fail.
One thing about it is, you're always somewhat. I mean, we're in an industry that's somewhat like market subjective too. So if you wrote a business plan in 2020, I'm pretty sure whatever you wrote as your business plan, you probably achieved it. I wonder, like looking back this year, 2024 has been 2024 has been a struggle. Like, what do you guys think? How many percentage of loan officers do you think like achieved their 2024 business plan?
Ooh, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah,
less than half. I would be willing or interested to know how many actually did a business plan to begin with, right?
Cool. I think we all thought the market was going to turn a little earlier on us this year.
Absolutely.
May 5th, it was all going to change, but here we are in the fall of Q4, and it's been a slowly progressing environment, but people would have thought the pendulum swung a little harder. But some people that have blown it out of the water too. But
the great news is we're closer than we've ever been to the end of this, right? To normal.
We're at the beginning of the end.
Yes, the beginning of the end. That sounds ominous, Dave. I don't know if I like that.
It sounds like scary. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, how about the beginning of like it getting? I need a better acronym.
We're at the beginning of the future.
Beginning of the future. Yeah, I think it started to turn in June or July. But yeah, let's get in the business plan. I mean, it's something that we believe in.
I think it's important when we say that it's the beginning of the future. Like this topic's really timely, right? Because now everyone is trying to finish 2024, but very, very soon we're going to start talking about 2025, right? And if you start business planning in 2025 for 2025, you've already missed the boat. Like you're already behind the curve. So the time to business plan for next year is now. So it's a very timely topic.
So where do you start?
One thing that I've always done from a coaching aspect, and this could be business planning, it could be as you're building your team, it could be anything really. Like it's really hard to know where to start if you don't know where you're going, where you want to end. So I've always been a big fan from a business planning standpoint of tell me where you want to finish, and then let's reverse engineer it backwards to build out how we get there and build the roadmap, right? Like I remember as a kid doing mazes, I never started at the beginning of the maze. I would start at the end and go backwards to the beginning. It was a hell of a lot easier. Business planning is kind of the same in my mind.
Yeah.
It's also different for everybody. Everybody is not about every business plan shouldn't be like, I did 50 million this year. I want to do 60 million next year. Sometimes, it's about, personal plan and kind of wrapping your business around that. And I think that's really important. I think sometimes people are so focused on the business that they can jeopardize their own personal goals, and they kind of have to really run alongside each other for that harmony. Starting there, personally, are you working too much? Are you, maximizing your time? Are you getting it with your family? If certain things are in balance, then it certainly should be a big growth year for you. If you've got everything else in balance.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think some of that's a really good point, Tom. Like business planning, we always think about the numbers, right? Like we're an industry that is hooked on production numbers, almost like a drug, right? But oftentimes it may be, what do I want to add in terms of a tool, a piece of technology, marketing, or hell, it may be, what do I want to take away, right? Like my business plan for 2025 is I don't want to do X any longer because I don't like doing it and I'm not good at it. Yep. Like that's perfectly valid as part of a business plan. I think the key to all of this though is that you have to take some time. You have to be thoughtful on it. You have to approach it with a methodical way, right? That and as you set the goals, whatever goals they have to be SMART goals, right? This is an acronym I've used for years as we business plan. So SMART goals, they have to be specific, right? The more specific you can get on that goal, the better it's going to be and the more likely it is that you're going to achieve it. They have to be meaningful. Your goals have to have a why behind them. If they don't, you're not going to be as driven to achieve them. They have to be achievable, right? They need to push you, they need to stretch you, but they still have to be achievable and realistic, right? Like it's not, if you're doing $10 million and you say I'm going to be a $500 million LO next year, like that's not achievable, right? So they got to be specific, meaningful, achievable. They've got to be relevant. It needs to be in line with whatever aspect of it that you're trying to do, and then they need to be time bound. Any goal that you set out there, you need to put a time hatch on it, on what the line is to accomplish it. Have you guys ever used that acronym?
No, never heard of that. I love it.
I think I learned
it for years. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, with business planning too, you need someone to show you the roadmap, right? So you need a good branch manager or leader to help you with it too. It's hard without someone looking over your shoulder, critiquing it, and make sure it's a smart business plan. I really like that, Robert.
Smart business plan. I'll send that to you, Dave, so you have it.
I like it.
At the end of the day, like we always say, everybody's either trying to figure out how to make more money working the same amount or make the same amount of money working less. So usually, it kind of all wraps around that. So then we get into a smart business plan. What a smart business plan consists of is time being spent on the highest and best use areas, the critical success factors that help you achieve that plan. I've always kind of found it's down to that. Like if man, when I spend only half my time doing this, but it produces 100% of my results. My question usually is then, how do you figure out how to spend more time doing that?
It's usually not half.
Spending half.
Yeah, it's usually like I've spent 5 or 10% doing the money making activities and the productive.
What's the 80-20 rule, right? It applies to everything always. So it's interesting, as we talk about business planning, and we kind of we need to kind of set the stage though, right? Like what's the actual results? Did you guys know that 42% of people or the people that business plan are 42% more likely to achieve their goals than those that don't? It's almost a 50% lift, right? So think about this, LOs. If I am out there leading you and I say, I can tell you one thing that's going to give you a 50% lift if you do it, would you not do it? Like, that seems kind of like a no-brainer to me.
Well, maybe it's a personality trait, but people who business plan, maybe they're just more driven and they hold themselves more accountable. That's something we're going to get into. Might as well jump into it now is accountability, right? And have
that goes back to the leadership and coaching as you develop your business plan that Tom was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I pointed to Tom and it went to Dave because the cameras are reversed.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need someone to hold you accountable. Someone you don't want to let down. What are the statistics? Like if you have like a personal trainer, someone you work out with, like I work out with a guy once or twice a week, right? We go rucking in the woods around my house and I never miss, right? I get up sometimes at 5:30, 5:15. I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed, but I'm like, Kevin's coming. I can't blow him off, right? And he feels the same way. So if you have an accountability partner and someone that you don't want to let down, that's huge. So we encourage that within our organization is grab an accountability partner.
You create self-accountability too, just by sharing that plan with others, your spouse, your children, your business partners, your higher ups, people that work below you, for you. There's a lot to that, because then you have that feeling of not wanting to let them down. You've announced, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. What you kind of get is buy-in, and people want to help you with that. Your family wants to help you with that. They understand that there's what they've got to do. And, you kind of get that rally behind mentality.
We have a guy here, and he has 3 big goals next year. I'm not going to say his name, but I told him, I said, hey, take a Post-it note, post them on your mirror when in the morning and the evening, you're brushing your teeth or shaving. You see that day in, day out, day in, day out. You kind of like, it just becomes you, and you get more and more driven.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, Dave, because I was just about to say, as you do your goal planning and you start setting these, you're sharing them with everyone around you for accountability and with your leadership, but posting reminders, visual cues that bring you back to focus on it is really powerful. So you kind of read my mind there.
Well, some of that's old school blocking and tackling in Napoleon. What's Napoleon's last name? But Think and Grow
Bonaparte?
Rich. Is it Bonaparte? No,
I'm thinking like Napoleon.
No, Napoleon. He's a writer from like the 30s or the 40s. But Think and Grow
Dynamite?
Rich. Yeah, it's a lot of visual clues. It's a lot of self-talk and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we definitely recommend that. And we do business planning too. If anyone wants a copy of our very basic business plan, message us. There's also a lot of personal goals on there. Like my personal goal, is to take 1 week-long vacation where I'm really next year when I'm really focused on my family and my vacation and not on email. 1 week-long vacation a quarter.
That's a great. I love that goal. I think
totally unplugged. Totally unplugged vacation though.
I think you stole that from me, or I stole that from you, though. One of us stole that from each other.
I stole it from someone from the Freedom Club. She wanted to take a week-long vacation every month with her girls. So
okay, I know who you're talking about. I stole it from her too. Then that's where it was. It's really interesting just to see. Like, I'm thinking back on my life and the people that I've been, fortunate enough to partner with and coach and mentor and lead, and seeing the results and the determination and focus that they had when they didn't business plan compared to when they do. And man, I'll tell you, it's kind of a night and day difference, right? Like just their confidence, their aura, their swag, their riz, as my 14-year-old son would say, as they attack their day in their business when there's a clearly defined plan.
They have a plan. Yeah.
I mean,
it's a roadmap. Here's what I got to do today, right? I'm behind in this. I got to make 10 more calls. I got to have 2 more meetings this week. I got to get after it. It gives you that determination when you get up in the morning. I got to get after it, right?
What's it that Ben Franklin said? If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Something along those lines. I mean,
Ben Franklin? Are you making that up?
No, that's Ben Franklin. You can look at
all right.
Verified, bona fide. Go check it out.
You know what else you do is you avoid. There's a lot of shiny objects out there that can distract people from a plan. So you have a plan to set out to do things this way, and sometimes you need to pivot that plan, or opportunity comes and it's time to to change course. But when you have a plan and then things come up, or you could go down a certain path, or another opportunity comes up, you really have to ask yourself, like, is this in line with my plan?
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys know, earlier, top of summer, we passed on a massive opportunity. Maybe we'll regret it one day, but it wasn't in line. We had a big plan and it wasn't in line with it. And we started to look at the time and resources and what it would mean and what it could have pulled from on our plan. And we stopped movement on it. And we even put a little time into it and thought, and even started to get excited about it for a minute. But the reality of it is the reason we didn't is because we were like, you know what, this isn't a part of our plan. Let's stick to course. And maybe, sometimes it's worth pivoting, but
man,
really
that's a whole we could do a whole topic just on that, on some of the biggest wins being my nose, right? Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast on shiny objects too in the mortgage business.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my Lord, it's one
They're
shiny object after another. You just got to stay focused and have the blinders on.
Yeah. But this topic is about business planning. But to that pivot point, Tom, what happens when you're on your business plan and it starts to go sideways, or you're going to fall short? Like it's not going as you planned. What do you do to get it back on track?
I mean, you assess what's working, what's not working. You really, I think in most cases, like if it's falling off, it's not because the activity determined isn't effective, it's falling off because you weren't doing the activities, right?
There it
So
is. That's
it takes a recommitment back to that. And what did I pledge to myself? And you got to be true to yourself, And I think, you have to learn trust in yourself. Like, trust is earned from tiny promises kept. So if I say I'm going to do this every Monday, if I'm going to do this every week, and next week I did all those things, I feel more confidence going into the next week that I'm going to do that again. I don't lie to myself. If I say something to do something, I do something. That's one of those things that ring through your mind. Like, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, but I think it's usually that. And a lot of times we all need a reset. I probably need a couple of them a year. It's why you shouldn't write the plan and tuck it away and never go back to it. You need a reset. You need a reminder. You got to kick yourself in the ass a little bit. You got to regroup, look at your time. How are you spending it? Are you protecting it? Our schedules are a lifeline, and get that shit in line.
That also goes back to the accountability and the coaching, right? The having someone to hold you to it, because those activities slip away, and the activities, right? So also, by the way, guys, if you're doing a business plan and you don't take it that step to where it's the activities to achieve the business plan, like you're just writing, I want to increase my business by 2 times, right? Well, that doesn't hit those SMART goals, right? That acronym that we talked about. So you got to have the activities, and then that's what you got to be accountable to. Like that's where the win comes in. I cut you off, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, these are good reminders for us when we go into business planning with our team. Is let's look at their business plan from last year. Let's see, the things we hit. I mean, there was both production goals and personal goals, and then a reminder us to do quarterly check-ins with our people when they business plan. I mean, I know we do that, but to be much better about that, to hold them accountable and hold us accountable.
That's a big piece. And the quarterly check-in, like, everything has to be driven down. Like, you're going to start with this bog, right? That's what they call it. Big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And then how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. So you got to break it down into the steps, the morsels that you're going to take daily. And then 6 months, a year down the road, you look up and holy crap, I've achieved massive success, right? But it comes down to the activities. I think a lot of times as we're talking about business planning and the activities, and we get paralyzed by just the enormity of some of it, right? And then that leads to inaction. So the one thing that I would make sure that you are acknowledging and taking steps against as you business plan is to not get into inactivity. This isn't like flipping a light switch, right? Like, it's okay. We have this mindset of all or nothing. Maybe your business plan is that you want to be making 40 outbound calls. One aspect of it is you're going to be making 40 outbound calls a week. That doesn't mean you're going to go from 0 to 40. Right? That means you're going to go 1 call, 2 calls. Like, it's building up. If you were going to go run a marathon, if you were going to go climb Everest, Dave, you wouldn't start at Everest, right? You're going to climb a bunch of mountains first, right? Like, it's all part of it.
Yeah, people think it's an all or nothing. You can't do it all at once. It's a slow burn up, and there's no shortcuts to the top.
Yep. And when you have that all or nothing mindset and you don't take the steps because you can't do all of it, you do none of it. And then you achieve nothing.
To use the exercise, example, if you go to the gym January 2nd, 2025 and lift weights for, 40 minutes and go try to run 5 miles on the treadmill, you're going to be sore for like a week and a half, right? And then you're not going to do it. So it's gradual steps in getting used to the activities and getting used to the things that you need to do.
You just said like the oldest business plan analogy that's like been out there. Like, you just said it like it was the first time it's ever been said too.
But it works.
Everybody loves the gym analogy, the January gym analogy. Everybody loves it.
But then then it just becomes part of your being, right? I can't go a day without exercising. You just get used to it.
Yeah, 21 days.
That's
21 days to form a habit.
It should be a lot of things. 21 days to form a habit. What are the things that like get you ticking? Like, I know there's a certain routine I can have in the morning that's going to make me a better person that day. And the more days I can get that routine in, I'm going to have more better days. I know that. Sometimes it's pulled off, and that's another thing. Give yourself grace too. Like, not be so held to I have to do it here. I have to do it. This has to happen on Monday. Like, they get it done. Adjust. Life adjusts. Like, we gotta pivot. But it doesn't mean that because you're supposed to do something on Monday, but Monday your kids were off school because of the holiday, and you chose to spend your day with the kids, that you don't do that week. And that was
Don't give up.
major part of your plan. You got to shift. It's got to go to Tuesday. What's from Tuesday have to go? What do you have to do to make it up? How do you stay on course and stay true to that?
Yeah, I think grace is important, right? Because that kind of goes back to that all or nothing also, right? Like we see it with the gym. Oh, well, I didn't go back to the gym analogy. I didn't go Monday. I didn't go Tuesday. Well, now I'm going to start back.
Let's do dieting. Let's do dieting, right?
See, now I feel attacked. Now I feel attacked, right? It's funny because that literally Lacey, my wife, and I, we laugh about this because we'll make a plan, and on Monday we're going to start eating right? Mm-hmm. Like it's Tuesday of that week, and come Monday we're going to start eating right. Why don't I just start on Tuesday? Right? Every Monday I'm going to start eating better. Monday hasn't come yet.
Because then you can feel really good about eating like shit on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because you're not really having to do it till Monday.
Then it's counterproductive. I feel attacked, Dave.
So let's talk about a couple mindset books. I mean, I sent to our teams 2 years ago, and then last year the Slight Edge, 2 years ago, and the Gap and the Gain. But it's everything we're talking about: accountability partners, having a plan. Do as I say, not as I do. I have to get back in the mindset of, before I go to bed, write my top 5 things I'm going to do tomorrow, my top 3 things that I accomplished during the day. Just little things like that make such a big difference if you do it day in and day out. I get it sounds a little hokey, a little cheesy, but it works, and it makes you more successful. So I'd encourage everyone who's listening to read The Gap and the Gain, and to read The Slight Edge. And if you don't like it, I will send you your money back. Actually, no, I won't do that. But yeah, check out the books, read them. 2 of my favorite.
That's The Slight Edge by Jeff Wilson. That's the one.
I should know who that's by. I don't think it might be.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I'll mail you a copy, Robert.
I think I have a. I don't know.
I might have mailed you a copy.
You might have.
So look, let's give a little guidance. If you're writing a business plan, what should really be in it? I think especially, so we're talking about loan officer business plan. Let's leave it to that. I think sometimes there's too much complexity to it, and it's focused too much on fluff. And at the end of the day, I think it should be, what's your personal goals, what's your business goals, what's your steps to achieve each.
Yeah. The activities, and then we break ours down. What, first month, quarterly, and yearly?
And yearly, yep.
Yeah.
First 30 days, first 90 days, and then 12 months. It's a really simple format. And what I love to do is if you can do it in a group setting and then collaborate with everyone else and almost have to defend it, right? Have people come and try to poke holes in it, and not to be mean, but to get granular, to make sure that it is detailed enough and that it is, going to get you where you're trying to go. I think that's a really cool and fun exercise. And as long as everyone's participating, then there's a little bit of a quality factor in it as well, right?
We talking about whiteboarding, Robert?
It may be whiteboarding, Dave. Yeah. I love whiteboarding. It's changed my life. Literally, first time I ever whiteboarded, I was doing it with a guy named Paul Dolan. Lacey was standing there, and he was looking at the numbers. I was working in a small community bank, and we whiteboarded, and I, had my goals and stuff on there. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you a moron?" And I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Do you not like money or something? Are you stupid?" He's like, you need to make these changes, right? Like bam, bam, bam from the whiteboarding. And then I left and made those changes. And now here we are all together, right? That was one of the initial catalysts that has eventually led me to here in my career. So whiteboarding is a powerful thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
What is whiteboarding? What does that mean?
I guess we should have explained it, huh?
So, whiteboarding is basically where you come together as a group. You put a big piece of white paper up on the wall, and you start
big post-it note.
Yeah, and you start looking at You start looking at doing it's basically doing a business plan out there for the world to see, and then you go around the room and kind of defend it, right? The first thing that you're going to write is what's the single greatest activity, right, that you do that makes you money. Identify what do you do that has the most impact on your business to make you money, right? And then the second thing that you're going to identify is what do you want to farm out? What do you want to move off of your plate? What do you want to eliminate? What do you want to stop doing? So what makes me the most money? What do I not want to do anymore? The third section is here's where I am today, how much volume you're doing, how many units you're closing. This is specific to LOs, right? How much income I'm making. Here's where I want to be in 90 days. Here's where I want to be in 12 months. Following me so far? Yep. And then the next section is going to be what activities do I need to do to make the 90-day and the 12-month goal happen? And it needs to be 4 or 5 specific, I can't say that word, specific activities, detailed activities, go back to that SMART analogy, that need to happen for you to be able to achieve that 90-day and 12-month goal. And then you revisit it every quarter, right? You have people come around and poke holes in it, you defend it, you tweak it, you make it better, you take suggestions, and then you revisit it every 90 days. You guys have done this, right?
I've done it probably a dozen times.
Oh, I knew what it was, but I was more asking because we were talking about it. Our listeners.
What's the craziness when you go to revisit? Have you guys experienced this?
You've actually hit the goals?
Or exceeded the goals?
Or exceeded the goals, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty badass.
Well, then if someone's doing a business plan, how does someone be coachable? How do you get someone coachable, and how does someone actually take constructive criticism, feedback?
That's a good question. That's a great question, because I think that's the key. Like, I think that they have to be open and bought in on it, right? Like, you can't coach someone that doesn't want to be coached. It has to start there.
With me, I was so desperate, right, to be coached and shown the light, because I was so burnt out and working, that whatever my coach said, I actually did it. Mm-hmm. Like 90% of the things she told me to do, I listened attentively, wrote it down, and then went back and executed it. She was smart, right? She knew I was like a squirrel looking around, but she gave me little bite-sized things to do. And every 2 weeks, she gave me a couple, and I did it. And then, next thing I know, my business changed, my life changed, and I worked through it all. So
kind of funny that somebody would pay somebody to tell them what to do, but not do the things that they paid them to tell them to do.
That's a fair point.
Happens all the time, though, right? Happens all the time. Yeah. So listen, not for nothing. If you're out there and paying for coaching and you're not doing the things that they're coaching you to do,
quit coaching.
Just quit coaching. Like, just stop. We're a little bit on a tangent here, but I think it's all relative and hand in hand. If you're not using a coach and you really want to change your life and improve your business, and you're going to put in the work, it's something you should look at, right? I remember when I was first thinking about coaching, I thought of it as kind of this new age hippity dippity, like, I don't need that. Someone positioned it to me. They said, hey, listen, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback to ever live, and he has a coach, right? If you think that you don't need a coach, you're pretty naive. This is a light bulb moment for me.
All three of us have coaches. All of our top LOs have coaches. Our top, a lot of our executives have coaching, and they're some of the sharpest, brightest people at the company. But let's get off coaching, because we're going to steal our thunder for another podcast that we're going to use.
Yeah. So as we talk about goal setting, business planning, what's the difference between realistic and unrealistic goals? How do you know the difference? Like, where do you draw the line?
I mean, I think one of you put it the example, if you're doing 10 million, your goal next year shouldn't be 70 million. It's got to be achievable, right? I think a lot of it's by feel. I mean, I don't have a good answer for you there. A lot of it's by feel and knowing the personality of the person that you're working with and working on the business plan with.
I have a different take on it, right? So where I see it is, if we talk about that roadmap and, where do you want to finish, and then you work backwards, like, you should be able to quantify the data for your business, right? And know that, okay, well, if I'm going to close, my average loan size is X, So if I want to do, X amount, my average loan size is 100,000. So if I want to do $1 million, I need 10 deals, right? I know that for every deal that I close, I need to talk to 5 clients. So if I'm going to do 10 deals, I need to talk to 50 clients. Well, if I want to go to 20 deals, so now I can do 2 million, right? Well, now I need to talk to 100 clients. So then you look at it and say, okay, well, what activities does it take to talk to 100 clients in a month? Can you feasibly do that? Is there enough time in the day?
Do I need help?
Do you have the team and system? Do I have help? So if you start again at the end and kind of work it backwards and know what those numbers are and can engineer it down to activity, and then you look at capacity, because everything that we do is capacity based in our business. Do I actually have the capacity to be able to achieve the goals that I'm setting? Or can I get the help or a system or support? And if you can't, the goal's out of scope. You need to readjust it. You need to reevaluate it.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think about that?
Or expand those capacities. Yeah, but I agree. I mean, we only have so much time, right? It's the most valuable thing that we have. So, if the time doesn't align, if it's going to take you 26 hours a day, there's 24, and you need to sleep, and you've got some other things you have to do as well.
What's the sleep you speak of?
I heard about it. It's a little overrated, but no, sleep is very important. Everybody should have sleep within their business plan.
That's a great point, a whole different tangent, right? But sleep is probably the single most important aspect of success that's out there. Dave?
Yeah, most people don't get enough of it.
You look deep in thought, Dave.
I'm a good sleeper. Go to bed early, wake up early.
That's funny. Well, guys, this has been an awesome topic, and I've enjoyed kicking it around with y'all a little bit. One of my favorite subjects. I'm excited for this time of year and to go in and do this. Hey, if you're out there listening, I hope we brought some value to you. One great takeaway, if you haven't gotten a takeaway yet, that I'll give you is this is a fantastic subject in class to go and present to your realtor partners. Most of them don't business plan, and they can use it greatly. I actually have a pretty decent PowerPoint I've put together. I'm happy to share it with anyone out there that would like it. So thanks so much for tuning in to Lending Leadership with the Mortgage Pros. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and smash it to make sure you don't miss any of our content that's upcoming. Robert Filyaw with HMA Mortgage for Dave Holland and Tom Mills. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks so much.